Hi, and we are live again for our second session for today in A Journal in a Weekend. And yeah, we are starting to write the second half of our content. Hello, hello. I see the first people coming on live. If you have not been to any of the previous sessions and you're following along, you're just a little bit later in, no problem at all. Go into our classroom and go to the bonus section. That's where you will find the step-by-steps that you can follow. Today, we're going to have 1 hour of co-working together. Hello, good morning, Penelope. So we're going to have 1 hour of co-working together. We're going to be using this timer, and we're going to continue working on our copy decks. And a copy deck is basically our written content of our journals in one place. And we need that in one document. I'll show you how mine looks in a moment. And this is going to be important for the later steps as we're going to work with designers and so on. So the goal of the end of today is have a copy deck as well done as possible. You will always be able to edit it later on and then know what the next steps are. So we will do 1 hour of co-working and then we will discuss the next steps together. So let's do it. Should we start with 30-minute sessions? So we have one 30-minute session and then another one, and then we go into discussing the next steps. Sounds good? Let's do it then. Here we are. I'm just going to make sure I put the correct link into our classroom so that everyone is able to see it. Okay, 30 minutes are starting. I'll mute myself to not distract you, and then let's get going. Hello. The first half hour is completed. I hope you're doing well. If there is no questions right now, we can continue right with the next 30 minutes. If there's any question, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to support you with anything. Otherwise, let's just keep going, right? Like, I find that these sessions, I get so much into flow and I get so much done. I have last few bits and then I'm completely done with the second product. I'm like, yes. So happy. Okay, I think there's no questions. I think everyone is focused and wants to continue working. So let's do that. I'll put the timer. You'll always be able to visually see it here on my desk. And then let's continue. I'll mute myself to not disturb you. And then let's continue staying focused and working. Hello. Okay, so our co-working is completed and we can now look at what we need to do next, right? So I'm going to show you what my copy deck looks like, and I'm going to show you what we want to do next with it as well, and make sure that our dashboard is all filled out too. So I'll be sharing my screen. Let me just have something underneath, otherwise it's noisy. Okay, I start by showing you my copy deck. So these are my two products. One is the business planner, the other one is the Productize Your Method Planner, which is it was quite a bit of a beast to write this and have this all done, because it's a step-by-step product, right? So I don't have repetitive pages. I basically guide people through the steps. That was different with product 2. So product 2 was more repetitive. I did have a few different pages. It looks like a ton of text here. It's because they are spread into spreads, right? So 2 pages. And we are, let's see, once the design starts, I'll be starting with design next week, and I'll be letting you know in a moment how I'm doing that. But let's go back to the dashboard and let's see if we have everything filled out. Okay. Review emotional flow and simplicity, what to cut and shorten. I tend to do this as I write, but also I'm going to go back. So what you want to do is you want to go back through your copy deck and see, okay, what can be cut, what is obvious. So a few things that I've been cutting and I'm still cutting is when you come to a new page and it's like, hey, now we're going to do this and that. Often if the title already says, let's say, find your manufacturer, for example, if that is what the title says, I don't have to say below, now we're going to find a manufacturer, because I create some redundancy that's not needed. And these are like some small things, but that will save you space and will remove some of the fluff. I think it's so natural to have fluff in and add fluff to our products accidentally. And especially AI is really good in having like lots, using too many words. So that's what you want to do. You want to go through and see what can you shorten and what can you cut. Once you have your copy deck link, unless it's in the same file, if it's in a different file, make sure that you add the link. If there's anything, and I want to show you, if there's anything design-wise that you want your designer to be aware of, let's see. I put that in blue, right? Like I would say, okay, put this in, this is something else. This is a little box. Here's a little footer. This is a little optional quote in case there's space. There's a version B of this. These are things that I put in and I comment on my own copy deck so that the person that I'm working with really understands what's going on. But at the same time, also, if you have, let's say, an exercise page, make sure that you have just a little bit of an explanation so that the person knows how to use it and understands a little bit of the context as well. We've done this. We've done a clarity, flow, and redundancy. This is often something that you do also once you have the sample. You go through it again, because what you will notice is having things in a digital file, even if it's already designed, does not have the same effect on you as having it printed. So I often will print my samples so that I can experience them, because once I experience them, And I can really I feel like you can have a lot more empathy with the user that is going to use the product when you are using it yourself and you're testing it. And you'll notice things that made sense digitally on a PDF suddenly don't make sense as much on a paper product. This is why the sampling process is actually part of the content creation process. So when we do done for you projects, for example, when we create products for other people and other brands, part of the process is reviewing the sample together, revision it, and then create the final product afterwards. So we have one sample sent to them and one sample sent to us, and then we will revision it. Makes a massive, massive difference. And that's truly when the changes are made. So maybe you've seen Evelyn's blog when she came to Munich. So in April, just shortly before we did the pre-sale, in April, Evelyn came to my house in Munich. And we sat together and we sat down and actually spent at least 4 hours of focus work and changed things around in the product. And this was a very important part of the creation process. And you will find that too. Once you have your sample, this is not the end line, like the finish line. This is actually part of your content creation, because that's when you refine your product and that's when you will be able to go into revisions and changes. Also, when you hire a designer, say that up front, that you are going to that the project is going to be until the sample, and then once you get the sample, most likely you'll have some revisions. What I also like to do is I use AI to stress test. So I often do it naturally now because I've been doing it so often that I'm so used to it. But often what I will do is anytime I have a page, I'm stress testing the page. So often I'm not as fast as going from one page to another because I'm constantly stress testing. So what I will do is I will ask, okay, what in this page is redundant? Is this page even needed? What is needed truly to move forward? Like I will constantly try to fight my own ideas when I'm creating them, because this way I'm making sure I'm really thinking it through. Because sometimes when we create our own products, we can be in a flow with an idea, which is wonderful and beautiful, but sometimes because we are so happy with our idea and so in love with our idea, we often then miss out to critically analyze it. And then later on, people will point out, oh, this and that and this and that. So you want to try to do this ahead of time so your idea is fully thought through. Danke. This bit here is if you want to use anyone to give you feedback, and you can do that within our community as well. So if you want to have feedback within our community here, the community journal in a weekend is going to be open in the I'm missing the words. So you will be able to communicate in the community tab in this community until Wednesday. Then I'm going to archive it, I think next Wednesday or next Thursday. I'm going to be able to archive the community, and then there's not going to be anything happening. You'll be able to review all of the replays, so yeah, you still have access to that. But in the meantime, make sure to use it as well, right? And you can get some feedback from people. If people are understanding, if it's clear, if it's complicated, all of those things. And then at the end, what you look, I want to actually tick this off. I want to tick them off. Not done this one. Okay. Well, in a way, yeah. Well, no, I've not done this one. I will get some feedback from my designer. She's amazing in giving me feedback. And also with my team, I'm going to check with them how they feel and what they would change. And then at the end, what are we going to put in? We want to know what's the final name. So the final name is going to be Productize Your Method Planner. It's going to be the final name. It's for experts, coaches, therapists, and people with a message. To help, I'm not going to look at grammar right now, I'm just going to write to help them create a physical stationary product out of their unique or out of their method. My format is a step-by-step planner. I'll start with hardcover first. Potentially spiral, because I know a lot of people that I work with prefer spiral. There's 50-50. I know that people like the both. So I'm thinking potentially I do both, but I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the case. And the tone is actually pretty grounded. Grounded. I would say grounded. And that's basically it. And now let's look at the next steps. Let me know if you have any questions as well, right? If there's a copy of the dashboard, yes, the copy of the dashboard. Yes, it's part of During a Weekend. So let's go to the community and you can actually find it in the classroom. Day 1. We had it here. Go to the dashboard. I still need to actually, let me make sure. Dashboard. Okay, let's see. And let me know. Let me see if it works. Yeah, I think it works. Good. So I just posted it here as well. And one second, I'm just going to make sure that people can find this. So Okay, now got it. So I'm going to just save this also into our day one as well, so that everyone can find it. Pin to course page, day one. Okay, here we go. You should be able to see this now. So if you go to the classroom, get your dashboard, here you get the dashboard. Also, here are the replays of last weekend. I'm going to also add the co-working sessions of this weekend, because this weekend we did the co-working sessions mostly. Also, if you go through the classroom and you go through bonus resources, you'll also find a worksheet that helps you then mapping out the A to B journey, AI, how I'm using it, bringing to life the structure. It also shows the copy deck and how I'm thinking about the copy deck. All of that is in here. You can find that in our classroom. This is not available anymore, so let me remove that. And here you find everything. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm going to be doing next. So, much easier this way. Okay, so here, let's look at the calendar. So what I'm doing is I am focusing on a 6-week sprint to get this product as a sample. I know that growth does often come in growth spurts. It doesn't come. Let me take this back. The two things that I find bring growth in my business. They're the things that compound, and these are often things that need to be done over a long period of time, and then they add up. But then there are things like product creation, starting new ideas, basically. Mostly it's around the creation and launching of something new. Those things come in spurts. And I find that if I don't do it in a spurt or in a sprint, that a product idea can take years in becoming a product. Like if I take the product that I'm just have been working on now, the Productize Your method, this was the first version of it, and that was in May 2024, right? So it took me now 1.5 years to get this other product out, because I didn't have a specific deadline and a space to do it. So I think it happens to all of us. And even though I create stationery basically for a living and I create for other people products, sometimes when it's your own project, it can, and if it doesn't have a very clear deadline, it can just fall through the cracks. And it's like, yeah, I'll do it later. Oh, now it's not a good time. It never is a good time. Like even now, it's not a good time for me to do this. It never is a really good time to do it, right? Because there are always so many things. There are always so many moving pieces, and there's the kids and these projects, and there's like whatever, like there's so many different things happening always at the same time. But I know if I don't do it now, there's end of January, we have Chinese New Year, and that means that for a month, there's not going to be manufacturing happening. So it means that either I do it now or I have a product in May-ish or so, and that's a very long time away. So I decided, okay, no, we're going to do a sprint now, and we're going to create the product from, we've got the copy or part of the copy, because as you work with a designer as well, often you don't have to have all the copy already ready so that you can already get started. Like even if the final bits you get in the next 2 weeks together, it's totally more than enough to be able to progress and get your sample done. And then we go from content creation to finding a designer, letting the designer know what we need. And it won't require a 30-hour work week to do this. And it's the interesting part, right? That this is not necessarily going to take that long. But because it often doesn't feel like urgent, I need to do it now, there's no deadline, we don't do it. Because even with an hour a day in the next 6 weeks, you'll be fine, right? Because often the bits that you will need are going to be outsourced. So you're going to have other people help you with the design. And I highly recommend having someone help you, because the way the product looks has a very big effect on the way the content is perceived, and if the product has the desired outcome for you or not, because the design plays such a major role in how the perceived value happens. So we're going to be talking about that, right? We need to get the designs done. We need to then decide, okay, what are the materials? What are we adding as accessories? I'm going to be introducing you to a manufacturer as well. And then by the end of the 6 weeks, we have our sample ordered. Maybe some of you already have the sample. Some of you might have it ordered at that point, but it's in production. And then I'm just thinking Christmas is going to be shortly after, and I'll be able to relax and enjoy Christmas knowing that I have done it. No, I have the samples on the way, or I already have them, and I don't have to freak out about like, oh, and then there's Chinese New Year, and then there's this delay and that delay. When am I ever going to have this product? That's basically what I'm doing. So if you want to join, this is what we're doing. So every week we have a call together, and during the week I'm also going to let you know, okay, this is what we are doing. There's going to be some co-working together, some accountability, so that we all get it done. We make sure that we're not falling behind and that we're doing it. And then at the end, we will order a sample together. And from there we can, let me close this. And from there we can then decide what we want to do. So in my case, with my sample, what I want to do is I want to do a pre-sale, right? So I want to, before I invest into manufacturing, I want to sell my product ahead of time and see how well it is received, because that's going to help me not only offset manufacturing costs, reducing my risk significantly, but also it helps me see what the demand is and make a better decision of how much I want to order potentially, right? And this is something that we will also be able to share. If you're interested in learning about this, please reach out to me. And you can also join by going to school. I put it here, www.school.com. ESC. Hey Birgit. Yes, I was wondering about this because I saw your last name and I saw your husband's first name. And I was like, interesting. I wonder if you're the wife and if you're connected, because it's not like the most common last name either. Okay. So happy to have you join as well. It's going to be a good 6 weeks. Thank you so much for joining today as well, and co-working together and doing this on a weekend and spending our Sunday together. I appreciate it a lot. I'm so happy with the progress that we've made, and I hope you are also happy with the progress that you've been able to make. And I look forward to seeing those of you who want to continue working on this next week. And yeah, let me know. Is there any question open or anything? Or are you ready to continue working, because I know many of you will be probably in the flow and like, okay, I just want to continue writing, because that's the trick. Once you start, then you can get going. I am done. My copy is completely finished. I'm going to then leave you all for the Sunday. And if there's any question, you can always put it in our community as well. Hey, Lindsay. Okay, wonderful. Yes. And Lindsay is also part of Elite Sourcing Collective, so I will also be able to see you in Penelope. You are also part, so I'll see you next week as well. Thank you so much, and talk to you very soon. Bye.